Okay, so in this lesson, so this is part of Unit 5, Lesson 11, while loops, and some people have told me they've been having some trouble at bubble 12 and onward, so I'm going to sort of make this video of a sort of quick run through. So, in this thing, so you have basically you're rolling two dice, and you're given some starter code down here, which institutes your two die and sort of gives you the start of a while loop. What it says right here is true, so that just means in general it's just going to keep running the while loop until forever. Um, so what we need to do is we need to use some techniques um, to modify the loop so that the loop stops when both dice are 5 or greater. So what we can do is we can use our AND statement, um, or something similar, which we can use expressed as stopping or a while loop or various things. In this case, what I think the best thing to do, since we want both dice are 5 or greater, what we can do is we can just sort of change this inside to something like, say, die 1 is less than or equal to 5. Oh wait, no, we'll just do actually less than 5. And then we want to use our some of our logic, and we'll use the AND command, and we'll say die 2 is less than 5. Actually, we'll want to use OR, because one of the things we want to do is the reason why we don't want to do AND, because thinking through it now, if we did AND, then both of these would have to be true at any time, and if any one of them was greater than 5, then our loop would stop. In this case, both of them have to be 5 or greater in order for our loop to stop. So we'll just run it to show you this one. So bam, 3 and a 4, 6 and a 5. And let me show you with the AND loop why that would be a common mistake to make and sort of cause you to end up getting it to stop before you want it. So see, you rolled a 2 and a 2 and a 6 and a 1. So in that case, you had one which was above 6, the other which wasn't, and that didn't quite stop it in the right place, so you'd want to use the OR. And the reason why this kind of gets complicated is because you're thinking in the negative and you're used to thinking in the positive. Alternatively, you could do AND if you could use the NOT statement in terms of the thing. So you could do while die 1 is not greater than 5, and die 2 so basically, while these two statements are not true at the same time, it'll keep repeating the loop, and if we do that, we can sort of see. Oh, nope. Okay. That's weird. Maybe we need to use double parentheses. Or maybe not. Apparently this gives some bugs. Okay, so I guess it would just be best to use the OR statement, like previously. But there should be a way to do it so then you use the NOT function to basically do the same as the OR statements. So here we'll run it. Oh, whoops. Although we have to fix that again. And bam. Solves it again. Alright, so that would be the steps for number 12, and then we continue. And in 13, we basically have to write a program that simulates 2 of the dice rolling, keep rolling until the sum of the dice is either 12 or an 11. So when we say or, this would basically mean, in a lot of times, like the note that they say, sometimes when we say or in English, what we mean in a programming language is an and. So we have our 2 die, and then we would have to put in our while loop, so while, and we're going to say, in this case, we're going to say die 1 plus die 2 does not equal, put in spaces, does not equal 7. And because it's either one that we can really do, we'll do and die 1 plus die 2 does not equal 11. Then what we'll do, let me just make sure I got this right. So what we can do is we can do while that, we'll do right. Right, and we'll say, we'll just do, we'll actually just erase this. We'll just set them to 0. We'll copy this to sort of put it in. What we can do is then we'll just sort of have our writing in here. So we'll say die 1 equals random number between 1 and 6. And then we'll say die 2, same thing. And then what we'll do is, since we need to copy the same information it has here, we need to have it write pretty much the same thing. We can say write, and then we add our quotes, rolled, and then we'll do plus die 1 plus, and then boop boop boop, parentheses, and then another plus, and then die 2, and then we'll do bam, 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 and then sum is, and we'll do one last plus and then some parentheses, so then we can have our sum be displayed without having to create a new variable. And we'll just say die 1 plus die 2. And then bam. And now that should actually do it. So what it's basically saying is, well, maybe we need to put parentheses here. And we'll just try it out just to make sure. And let's run it. And bam. So we have some rolls. We roll 2 and a 1, sum is 3, 1 and a 3, sum is 4. And so it repeated until it got to this point. So let's try again. Oh, first roll, it did it again. Okay, and there it worked for the 11 as well. 7, bam, 11, 7, 7, 7, 7, which really it should come up 7 most of the time, since that's the most common pair of numbers to get. And so there, we're done with that. And then we can sort of continue on, and it's sort of using the same thing and sort of figuring out the complex logic as you go through this. So fix the condition so that it keeps rolling as long as the value is not a 3, a 2, or a 3. So while die1 does not equal, let's see. Oh no, we'll keep working. So now it says while die1 does not equal 2 or die1 does not equal 3, doesn't seem to be working. Now why this is because when it's a 2, it's still not a 3. So what we have to do is we have to think about how we need to change the logic here to get it so then it'll stop running when it's either a 2 or a 3. Now, in my mind, the quickest way would be to turn this into an inequality. So while die1, and we'll just say, in my mind, my idea would be just less than 3, less than 2, and then or die1 is greater than 3, it'll do this. Now, in my mind, the idea is if you have a value less than 2, so that would be if you have 1, or if you have a value greater than 3, so 4, 5, or 6, it'll keep running. Now let's give it a test to see if the math logic plays out. Bam, rolled a 1 and then rolled a 3. 6, 5, rolled a 3, 1, 3, so on and so forth, and that seems to be working. And so we'll finish that, and then in this last one, basically it has a count. Well, count is less than 2. Change the code so it prints the string high 5 times. So let's see. So this is sort of playing around. We have to figure out a logic. So in my mind, while the count is, because it starts at 0, so it starts at 0 and then it goes, so as it's 0, it writes a high and then goes up by 1. So that would be at 1, 2, 3, 4. So technically, while our instinct would be to have it be 5, which you could run it and see how many times. Let's see. I feel like, nope, looks like I'm wrong. Okay, because it's less than 4, it's less than. So if we did less than or equal to 4, but if we do less than 5, it works because we're starting at 0. And then we'll just do so if we look at it, we have 5 highs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's because count less than 5, it goes up to 4, but since we start at 0, that's sort of how it works. And bam. And so that's what's going on with there. And for the rest of these, we're using some additional operators, which in this case we're introducing the count plus plus, or the plus plus operator, so that just basically gets rid of the plus 1. We can just say count plus plus. So let's try it, and bam. Even though that should be 5. And we just need to write all that, and bam. Some while loops. So now it has a friend. You have count plus plus. So let's see, change the looping condition. So we'll start at 10. And we'll say while count is less than, or is, we'll just do greater than 1. We'll do count minus minus. And then we'll run it. Boop, 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 boop. Bam, counts down to 1. And now we have plus equal, minus equal. We can use the plus or minus equal to subtract any value. So it's basically sort of doing a shorthand thing. So we can erase all this, and we can say count plus equal 3. And all of these do the exactly same thing. This is just sort of teaching us some quick shorthand to change the thing. So then bam, counts up to 30. Cool. Finish that, and then we'll continue on. Minus equals is basically the same thing. So while the count, so we'll start at 30. Well, doesn't equal 0, and then we'll just change this to minus equal, and now it's going to start counting down by 3. And if we look at our debug console, it'll do it. Bam. Counts down by 3. Technically, if we wanted it to display 30 as well, we would go 30. And we'd reset, run it, bam, 30 all the way down to 0. And then bam, finish that, continue on, and now we're going to learn about a new operator, defensive loop conditions. So now in this case what we're doing is basically it says we're going to be counting up by 4s. However, 30, if we look at it, is not divisible by 4. In fact, I'm going to just change this to make it even quicker for us to do. Less character counts, smaller program. And what we'll do is, because 30 is not divisible by 4, we would actually completely miss it. So if we sort of run it, well, actually it just crashes. Okay, I counted a little fast. But basically it just kept adding to 4 and it crashed itself. Now, the reason why is because we said does not equal 30. Well, 40 never is going to, if you're just counting by 4, you're never going to hit 30. It would just sort of skip over. So what we can do is, instead of using a not condition, we can use a less than condition. So while count is less than or equal to 30, it'll just sort of keep doing that. In fact, we can actually change it to less than in case for some reason we started at 2 or anything like that, and that would keep us good. And so when it hits 32, we're good. And look, it stopped counting. Alright, and then we finish that, and then we're on the last bubble, which is using an if statement in a loop. So what we do is, if we add a, so we're going to be looping it 1,000 times. We're going to loop number all. So we do that. Okay, and then it's going to sort of print that. So what we're obviously going to have to do is, because what it wants you to do is add an if statement inside the loop to check to see if the sum of the dice is equal to 1, and then add 1 to 12 count. What we'll do is we'll just sort of quickly do that. So we'll say if, and then we'll do die 1 plus die 2 equals 12. And we'll just do an extra parenthesis here, just because I like using parentheses mathematically. And then we'll just do a quick little 12, and it's not pulling up real quick. We'll do 12 count plus plus. And then, oh, whoops, nope, want to put that, boop, boop. And there we go. And then basically, because it just sort of rolled and it said how many things, how many times it rolled, and then now let's run it again. Although it's going slow. Okay, and then it solved it, so the number of times 12 was rolled was 26. And then it finished, it said done. So before that, I think I didn't let it run all the way through. It was just sort of lagging some, so I didn't actually get it to appear all the way down here that it got to the thing, and then it would have just been blank. It would have said 0. And that is what goes on for this 12 through 21. If you have any additional questions, you can always give me a message. But that's what's happening. And then if you want, you can do the survey.